Fire Emblem 7 The Blazing Blade has a ranking system that rates your playthrough on 5 categories on a 1 to 5 star scale, these being tactics, survival, funds, XP, and combat. Respectively, these categories rate your ability based on how many turns you've used to complete the game, how many characters survive, how much money you have, how much XP you've gained, and what percentage of combats are wins. In this FE7 playthrough, I seek to obtain a perfect total ranking of 5 stars, by which I mean I will score the absolute minimum of 1 star for each category. In order to do this, I will need to complete the game in as many turns as possible, with as many characters dead as possible, with as little money as possible, gaining as little XP as possible, and by winning as few combats as possible. This may sound easy, but starting from chapter 14, each individual map will have a ranking based on these requirements. In addition to the final ranking being 1 star across the board, I will attempt to have the minimum ranking in each category at every chapter throughout the run. In order to further optimize my playthrough, I will of course be using any and every exploit, glitch, or bonus available in the original game. So come with me on this scuffed adventure as I defile this fan-favorite Fire Emblem classic. Okay, so this minimum rank thing is actually a lot more complicated than you might think, so here's some explanation on how it works. Let me tell you about Tactician points. Oh boy. Tactician points are a hidden mechanic based on ranking individual maps. They operate in a similar fashion to your typical ranking, but they operate exclusively on a per map basis. Based on your ranking per map, you are granted between 0 and 5 Tactician points, and for every 12 Tactician points, you get 1 Tactician star, which is visible on your avatar profile and provides minor bonuses, specifically +1 crit evade to all characters per star, and +1 avoid and hit the characters that share your avatar's affinity. You can view the total Tactician points obtained at the end of the game in the battle history in the upper right. I plan on going for a minimum rank, which is honestly kind of easy, but I also plan on going for as few Tactician points as I can, which makes every single map into a hellish optimization problem, as they are calculated for each map individually. And here's where things get complicated. Each chapter has thresholds for turn count, experience gained on that chapter, characters that died on that chapter, funds gained on that chapter, and combats performed on that chapter. These thresholds are local to the individual chapter and do not roll over as far as I can tell. There are tables on Serenus Forest that list these in exhaustive detail, which I have displayed here. The 5 ranks for tactics, survival, funds, XP, and combat are calculated for each individual chapter and grant you ranking points for that chapter, which are summed up to determine your overall ranking. And you are awarded Tactician points based on that overall ranking. If you achieve an S rank overall, you get 5 points. If you get A rank, you get 4, 3 for B rank, 2 for C rank, 1 for D rank, and most importantly, 0 for E rank. In order to achieve the minimum E rank overall for a chapter, you must get less than 100 ranking points for that chapter. Serenus Forest has another table for these ranking points, which I have displayed here. As you can see, the number of ranking points for each category is not equal. Tactics or turn count has the most weight, but some of these categories also have a minimum score, meaning that getting underneath 100 points is actually a bit difficult. So in order to get an E ranking overall in a map, you need to get 1 star on everything, except for survival, which can be 2 star. This gives you a total score of 40 plus 35 plus 10 plus 0 plus 0 equals 85. However, the problem is that in order to achieve a 2-star ranking in survival, you need to have 3 characters die on that map. For 1 star, you need 4. And simply put, you don't have enough characters in Fire Emblem 7 to consistently get a 2-star or 1-star ranking for survival in every map. Additionally, some maps will automatically grant you 5-star in funds or XP, meaning that you are guaranteed to get at least some Tactician points. What makes this even trickier is that some of these objectives are at odds with each other, as I'll be straddling a line between having enough combats to get a 1-star ranking and making sure I am below the XP requirement for every map, not to mention needing to use or throw away nearly all my items each chapter to meet the funds requirement. I will even need to parcel all my characters to kill them only when I can lose Tactician stars by doing so, which also means that I probably have to recruit every character I can just to kill them to lose survival rank for individual chapters, as green units do not count towards this. The only easy ranking is probably tactics because I can just wait. But if you thought this was a ha 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 excellent and easy challenge where he just kills everyone and wins, you're wrong. This is a huge optimization problem that I have very incomplete information on, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it perfectly, to be honest, but I'm gonna try. Oh right, and one of the main problems of this, unfortunately, is that most of this is not actively tracked by the game until the very end of the round, so I will need to do a lot of math, and I won't know if I mess it up until the end. What have I gotten myself into? Oh damn. For this FE7 minimum rank challenge, I will first play through Lyn Hard Mode. Notably, I will make sure to use a save file that does not have battle history saved for the hard difficulties, because higher ranks will always overwrite lower ones, and as I am going for the lowest rank possible, I will otherwise be unable to see my score. I do something I normally don't do, and I enter in my name for the self-insert avatar character. The prologue of this FE7 minimum rank challenge begins with Lyn finding our intrepid avatar protagonist fallen unconscious in the tall grass. She rescues us from wild Pokemon because there are better places to take a nap than on the ground, you know. Suddenly, 2 bandits attack and Lyn moves to take them on. This is normally an extremely simple map, but when going for minimum rank, things get more complicated. For the tactics rank, I will need to exceed 9 turns to get a 1-star ranking. For the most part, most maps will allow for an easy 1-star tactics, so from now on I'll only mention it if there's an exception. For survival rank, as Lyn is the only character and is not allowed to die, I will get automatic 5-star ranking. For funds, we start with 1060 gold in assets, and to achieve a 1-star ranking, we must end the map with less than 20% of that. For experience rank, the requirement is very low, and killing the boss will grant us more than enough XP to guarantee a 5-star ranking. As for combat, we must achieve a less than 15% overall win rate to get 1 star. So the only 2 ranks we need to worry about on this map are funds and combat. And the solution to both of these problems is an extensive amount of boss abuse. In order to dip below the 212 gold threshold for 1-star funds, we must use up both vulneraries and attack with the Iron Sword at least 25 times. This brings the Iron Sword down to 21 durability, which will make it value 210 gold. Boss abuse also drags down our combat rank. I end up attacking Bad the Beast more than a dozen times for a total of 15 combats. And since there are 2 enemies on this map, we get 2 wins for 15 combats, which is roughly a 14% win rate, sneaking us just below the threshold for 1-star combat ranking. After defeating the boss, I get some extremely mediocre level ups. I gained a total of 230 XP on this map, but since I was already going to hit the 5-star threshold anyway, this is to my benefit as I have increased my power without sacrificing rank. I end the map in 70 turns and 0 deaths for a 1-star tactics, 5-star survival, 1-star funds, 5-star XP, and 1-star combat for a total of 230 overall points, which grants us a C rank overall and 2 tactician points. As far as I can tell, this is the minimum for this chapter. In the closing cutscene, we discover that Lyn is an orphan, granting her the true qualifications for becoming a Fire Emblem protagonist. In chapter 1 of FE7, Lyn and the Tactician go to the town of Volgar to purchase supplies with the meager funds that they have remaining. On the way, they bump into Kent and Sane, the latter of whom Cat calls her, not realizing that he had just sexually harassed his future employer. Lyn soon finds herself pursued by bandits, and the 2 Lycian Knights come to her rescue. This map is normally rather straightforward, and as a route map with no other objective, my tactics rank will obviously be 1 star. The experience rank on this map is pretty much guaranteed to be 5 star. Unfortunately, the limit for 1 star is very low at 140 XP, and we get 5 stars after only 200. Now let's do some math. Normal combats where you do damage will give you around 10 XP, kills around 30 XP, and the boss will grant around 70 to 100. Since we must defeat every enemy, and I cannot 1-round any of them without a crit, I will have around 5 combats, 4 kills, and 1 boss kill, for a total of around 240 XP. Hypothetically, I could RNG abuse the rare critical hits to reduce my combat XP, and sneak just under 200. But in doing so, I sacrifice my combat ranking, so it's just not worth it. The combat ranking is local to each individual map, and a good rule of thumb is that for every enemy I defeat, I must have 7 combats because 1 out of 7 is around 14%. So for this route map with 5 enemies, I will need to have 35 combats occur. Since I used up my vulneraries last chapter, this gets kinda tricky. So what I do is I kill 3 of the enemies and then the boss, and then I place Lyn on a mountain at the top of the map to increase her dodge chance, and I unequip her weapon by giving it to a cavalier. I dodge around 50 times to reduce my win rate to a comfortable amount. For my funds rank, Kent and Sane arrive on this map with 2 iron lances, 1 iron sword, and a vulnerary for a total value of 1480 gold. To get 1-star funds, I'll need to get this down to less than 296 gold. I figured that the best way to do it is to ditch both iron lances, use up the vulnerary, and toss my old iron sword for another 170 GP loss. At the end of the map, I am left with a 38 use iron sword, which is worth 380 gold. Considering the 170 GP of assets I started with, I have profited a total of 210, which is less than 296, so I will get 1 star in funds on this map. For my survival rank, things get tricky. The total value of the other ranks is 130 points, and 5-star survival gives me 100. So if I don't do anything, I will get 230 points and an overall C rank for 2 tactician points. However, if I kill Kent and Sane, I will get a 3-star in survival and go down to a total of 185, dropping down to D rank overall. I decided to do this even though it makes things really complicated in next few chapters, and I kill Kent and Sane. So overall, I have obtained a 1-star tactics, 3-star survival, 1-star funds, 5-star XP, and 1-star combat for an overall D rank, gaining only 1 tactician point out of 5 possible points, and going up to 3 in total. In the closing cutscene, Kent and Sane, despite being grievously wounded, reveal that Lyn is actually the granddaughter of the Marquis of Kylan. As it turns out, Lyn's granduncle, Lord Lundgren, sees her inheritance as a threat to his own claim and has sent assassins to kill her. In Chapter 2 of FE7, Lyn and the mutilated remains of Ken and Sane decide to take a detour to visit a Sakayan shrine to gain its blessing for their journey. However, when we arrive, it is being robbed by a mercenary named Glass, who lacks class, and alas, after we pass through this crevasse, his ass will be grass. This is a CS map, making the tactics rank an easy 1-star. Survival on this map will be 5 stars as Lyn is my only character. And as for experience, getting through this map without gaining too much experience will be extremely difficult. It might be possible if I kept Kent and Sane alive and used them to body block, but their deaths were necessary to have a more consistent pacing in my narrative. It's also more optimal, so okay, moving on. So instead of gaining very little XP, I decided to gain all of the XP. I break the wall and I kill everything on the map except for 1 bandit in the lower right corner. For the boss, I obtain the vulnerary, which is the only drop from the map. The funds we gain for this chapter are 300, and I will need to profit less than 60 gold from this map, which is kind of absurd. So I toss a vulnerary and also throw away my sword, leaving Lyn with no possessions and a net worth of 0, a similar financial status to that of a typical millennial. Discarding my only weapon is a necessary step for what is to come. In the GBA Fire Emblem games, you cannot unequip weapons while still having them in your inventory, as they will automatically be used. Since I have no convoy or other characters to trade to, I must discard it if I want to face multiple attacks from an opponent without killing them. I have Lyn, who is now unarmed, lure the sole remaining bandit to the mountains in the bottom of the map. The mountains grant 30 avoid, which is critical for the long-term preservation of the bandit's iron axe. I then proceed to repeatedly spam end turn and dodge the bandit's axe over and over to gain 1 XP per turn to power level Lyn to her level cap in a process that should take about 2,000 turns. The 30 extra avoid from the mountain terrain, as opposed to say for example 20 avoid from a fort or forest, is critically important because it is possible for the bandit's 45 use iron axe to break on the way to level 20. On a fort, the bandit's displayed hit will be 25, but on a mountain it's 15. Because of the way that true hit works, the actual hit rate of the bandit would drop from 12.5% to 5%. We can calculate the number of expected iron axe uses by factoring in how often the bandit will miss. This will also be the total amount of XP we can gain from this 1 bandit. Simply divide the number of uses, 45, by the true hit rate. On a fort, we will get 360 hits, or XP, but on a mountain, we will get 900, enough to level up 9 times. This isn't enough to get to level 20, but by leveling up and getting stat increases in speed or luck, Lyn's avoid will be increased, and this will increase the expected number of iron axe uses and XP gained by reducing the bandit's accuracy. The mountain does not provide healing like a fort would, but because mountains only reduce movements when moving through them, Lyn can retreat from the bandits to access the forts to heal despite having the same amount of movement. Soon, Lyn levels up several times and gains points in speed and luck, which further increase her void. Eventually, Lyn only faces sub 1% chances of being hit by the bandit, and eventually gets to the point where the bandit literally cannot hit her. Now that the safety of the bandit's iron axe has been secured, I can lean back and spam in turn until Lyn reaches level 20. After waiting for a long time, Lyn finally caps out her level, achieving stats that are roughly on par with her expected average. Her total battles have capped out at 999, so it should go without saying that her win rate is less than 15%. The turn counter has also capped out at the low number of 999. In real time, this would have taken around 6 to 7 hours, but I did it faster through the blessing of emulator fast forward and keyboard macros. I seized to end the map, and I finished the second chapter with a 1-star in tactics, 5-star survival, 1-star funds, 5-star XP, and 1-star in combat for a total of 230 points, which grants me a C rank overall and 2 additional tactician points, bringing me to a total of 5 out of a total possible 15. After spending around 6 years in the hyperbolic time chamber, Lyn re-emerges into the outside world and finally obtains the blessing of the sacred sword. Surprisingly, the blade responds to her touch and she is able to unsheath the Manikati, which has deemed her worthy to be its wielder. However, the fact that this legendary weapon has chosen Lyn means absolutely nothing, because the Lycian League allocates executive power based on heritable noble lineage and not some farcical Sakayan ceremony. In Chapter 3 of FE7, Lyn's party travels through the mountains, which are home to many bandit groups, including the one that slaughtered her entire clan, leaving less than 10 survivors, which is still more than a typical number of characters alive after one of my playthroughs. Lyn's friend, Florina, an alien Pegasus Knight, is being hassled by some honorable bandits who dabble in just a little human trafficking as a treat, so hostilities ensue. This is a route map, meaning tactics is an easy 1-star. Survival will probably be 5 stars, as on this map we only have 2 killable characters, Florina and Will, who is just some random dude who joins when you visit the village. Killing on this map won't save any tactician points, so I will leave it to another chapter. The funds rank will be kind of tricky. Visiting the upper village grants us 2,000 gold, and that combined with Florina's and Will's possessions add up to 3,290 gold, so I will have to cut that down to less than 658. So what I do is I grab the gold, buy 4 iron swords with it and discard 3, and also discard Florina's slim lance and Will's iron bow. I keep the vulnerary temporarily, but I will use all of it up in this chapter, and so I'm left with only an iron sword and 160 remaining gold, which is enough to make the cut for 1-star funds. The Manikati, which I obtained just last chapter, is also worth 0 gold, so I can still fight even if I have to bring my net worth down to 0. But I generally plan to save it for emergencies. The experience rank on this chapter should be an easy 1-star, because Lyn is now level 20 and can no longer gain experience from battle. If I kill everything with her, I will have gained 0 experience and obtain an easy 1-star. However, this grind has also added possible complications. Lyn's total battles have capped out at 999, and I'm honestly not sure if further battles will count for the combat ranking. And since testing is tedious, I figured I'll play it safe and let someone else participate in combat to reduce my combat rank. This map is a route map with 9 enemies, meaning that I must kill all 9 enemies. For my combat rank, I will need at least 9 times 7 or 63 battles to get a 1-star in combat. And since I don't know if Lyn can do this, I set Will up for it. I kill most of the enemies and I place Will on a forest, where he is attacked by an archer for 1 damage a turn. His dodge rate means the enemy archer's iron bow will definitely last long enough for my 1-star combat rank, and I use a vulnerary to make sure he has enough HP to survive the onslaught. I decided to go a bit higher, just for comfort, and I have Will dodge 72 times to ensure my 1-star combat ranking. One important thing to note is that Will has gained 1 XP per battle even without retaliating, so I did gain some XP. 72 in fact, but that's well below the 1-star XP threshold for this map, which is 240. I kill the boss and I complete the map with 1-star tactics, 5-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star experience, and 1-star combat, for a total overall score of 150 points, which is an overall D rank, granting me only 1 tactician point, for a total of 6 out of a possible 20. In the closing cutscene, Sane convinces Florina to join their merry band, and Will also tags along, because he has nothing else to do. Lindis's legion grows for the time being, but this trend will not last very long. In Chapter 4 of FE7, Lyn's group retires for the night in an abandoned fortress where they find Natalie, a villager who is looking for her husband Dorcas, who is currently out earning money doing some human trafficking on the side. A group of bandits, including Dorcas, who is interning with them, descend upon the fortress, and so a fight ensues. This is a defend map, which will automatically award a 5-star tactics ranking, so unfortunately I'll be given tactician points against my will. For my funds rank, the total value of items is 270, meaning that I have to gain less than 54 gold on this map, which basically means that I can't keep anything from this chapter. My plan is to wait at the door and not kill anything because I don't have the turns to offset victories for combat rank. I have Lyn park at the door to dodge tank, and Dorcas walks right up to her. I have Lyn recruit him to build an army, trust nobody, Fire Emblem, only on the Game Boy Advance. I throw away all of Dorcas' items to profit 0 gold for a 1-star funds rank, and then get him killed right in front of his wife. Assuming I get a 5-star tactics and 1-star in everything else, going from 5-star survival to 4-star survival with 1 death will lose me 25 points, which is just enough to shave off 1 tactician point. My experience rank is 1-star as I only get like 5 XP from the hits that Dorcas sustained before dying, and as for combat, since I did not kill a single enemy, my win rate is 0%, so I get a 1-star combat rank. I wait the map out until completion, completing the map with a 5-star tactics, 4-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star experience, and 1-star combat for a total of 285 points for an overall C rank, which is only 2 tactician points, granting a total of 8 out of a possible 25. In the closing cutscene, Dorcas, who was critically wounded in this encounter, leaves with his wife and goes home to be a family man. In Chapter 5 of FE7, Lyn's comrades continue to massacre bandits. Sarah, an Ostian cleric, and Urk, a mage, rub her neck a bit too hard and are dragged into the fight. We talk to Sarah with Lyn and recruit her, and the map begins. This is a route map, so the tactics rank will be an easy 1-star. As for survival, I'll let it be 5-star this time, as I still need living characters to soak up hits that lower my combat rank. I must defeat 7 enemies on this map, and so I must tank 49 hits with my non-Lyn units to make the cut for 1-star combat. The funds gained for this chapter are 1,460, which means I can keep only 292 gold profit. So what I decided to do is I toss every single item, including the iron sword I kept from earlier chapters, so I can keep Sarah's heal staff, which will be critically important for me to lower my combat rank on maps that do not have infinite healing. I kill most of the enemies with Lyn, and I leave what I believe is the weakest enemy alive, a mercenary that does 9 damage. I park multiple units on mountains to try to tank hits, but it gets difficult, and I have to expend many healing resources to make it through. Unfortunately, as I heal my characters with Sarah, she gains 11 XP per staff use. I don't get XP from killing enemies with Lyn, but I will be gaining XP from taking hits. And since this map's XP limit is actually quite low at 190, soon Sarah's XP gain gets a bit too close for comfort and I have to scrabble and have other people take hits, ending with 40 on Urk, 3 on Florina, 3 on Will, and 3 on Sarah for a total of 49 battles, giving me a 1-star combat rank. The XP I gained summed up to 49 from all of the battles and 121 from the 11 heal staff uses that I used, for a total of 170 XP, which is cutting it very close to the 1-star limit of 190. My total profit for the map, considering all the things I discarded and the heal staff uses I used, was probably around 10 gold or so, well below the requirement for 1-star funds. I finished the map by killing everyone with Lyn, and I end with a 1-star tactics, 5-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star XP, 1-star combat for a total of 150 points, giving an overall D rank and 1 tactician point for a total of 9 out of a possible 30. In the closing cutscene, Sarah decides to join Lyn's group in the hopes of gaining favor with a would-be heiress, much to Urk's dismay. Far away in Castle Kylan, Lord Lundrun decides to send the full force of soldiers to stop Lindis, and also continues to poison his brother with the weakest poison known to man, as he has somehow clung to life despite having been continuously poisoned for months. In Chapter 6 of FE7, we enter Arifin, one of Lycia's biggest cities. Kent has secured aid from the local lord, but suddenly Lundrun's soldiers set a fire in the castle and attempt to kill Lyn. Wrath, the captain of the castle guard, kills a brigand and then joins us. Matthew the thief also shows up and offers his services, and I take his iron sword. This map has a unique objective, where you must press 3 switches to open a secret passageway. The tactics rank will be an easy 1-star since we can take our time. As for survival, I will have to let it be 5-star this time because of other circumstances. As for combat rank, there are 7 enemies, but interestingly, the enemy that Wrath kills in the intro of the map in fact does count towards his wins in the stats screen and also grants him around 13 XP, so we'll have to account for that. I'll need 56 battles to offset this, which I get using Wrath. I use Sarah's heal staff to heal him several times to get to the required threshold. For experience, the 1-star limit is very low at 190 XP, I get all of the kills with Lyn, which is 0, while Wrath gains 72 XP from his mandatory win and the additional battles he participates in. And lastly, Sarah gains 55 XP from healing Wrath 5 times, for a total of 127 XP, which is satisfactory. Things get pretty convoluted for the funds rank, because at the end of the chapter, you are forcibly given 5,000 gold against your will, and the funds rank for this chapter is checked immediately after this without any possible player intervention. The total funds for this map are 18,030, so we must profit less than 3,606 gold on this map, which is basically impossible. Theoretically, if we had more than 1,394 gold worth of assets, then tossed them away during the map, we would have profited less than the 1-star threshold, but I simply didn't have enough to do this. Since I didn't plan this far ahead and I don't want to replay all the previous chapters, I suppose it is something to leave to future optimization. In either case, this 5,000 gold is guaranteed to push us up to at least 2-star funds, which fortunately is not enough to gain a Tactician point, so it doesn't really matter that much. Also on this map is the Seraphobe, which I use on Lyn to bring her up to 37 HP to make her even more moderately formidable. In high-ranked runs, you are typically forced to keep stat boosters to preserve your high funds rank, but one advantage of the low-ranked runs is that it can freely expend all resources the game gives you, even if you need to wastefully discard most of it. I defeat the boss with Lyn and activate the last switch to end the map with a 1-star tactics, 5-star survival, 2-star funds, 1-star XP, and 1-star combat, for a total of 170 points, which fortunately is still an overall D rank, and 1 tactician point for a total of 10. Out of a total possible 35. After rescuing Marcus Arafin, he rescinds his offer of help because he is racist, and Wrath leaves his services because of the same reason. Wrath joins Lyn, and without her consent, gives us the poisonous 5,000 gold that ruins our 1-star funds rank. In Chapter 7 of FE7, we march towards Kylan in order to reach Lyn's grandfather before he dies from a status effect that inflicts only 1 to 3 damage per turn. On the way, we bump into Nils, a traveling performer whose sister has been kidnapped by thugs, and we decide to rescue her. The map begins and Lucius, a light mage, joins us to combat the threatening dark magic users that can do an imposing 1 damage per hit against Lyn. Here for the first time, we have access to the preparations menu, though unfortunately we cannot check our rank in the fortune tab like in the main game. I undeploy everyone except for Florina so I can execute a more elegant strategy. Instead of fighting every enemy on the map, I attempt to kill only the boss to reduce the amount of tedious dodge tanking. By killing only 1 enemy, I will only need to dodge 7 times to get a 1-star combat ranking. I have Florina fly everyone to the lower left corner of the map where nobody but brigands can reach, and then fly Lyn close to the boss. I carefully count turns and count the hits that Lucius and Nils take. And once both of these parameters are right, I have Lyn kill the boss to instantly complete the map, meeting my tactics and combat rank requirements. For my experience rank, I gain a total of only 7 experience from Nils and Lucius being hit. For my funds rank, I allowed the brigand to destroy the village in the upper right and threw away Lucius's tome and Nils' vulnerary for a total profit of 0 gold. I complete the map with a 1-star tactics, 5-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star XP, and 1-star combat, for a total of 150 points for an overall D rank and 1 tactician point for a total of 11 out of a possible 40. If all goes well, this is the absolute last tactician point I will ever gain in Lyn mode, because in the next chapter I will start killing all my units. The map closes as Eliwood, the son of the Marquess of Foray, has rescued Ninian. As I completed the map in 10 turns, which is under the 15 turn threshold to access the guidance chapter, I am given the option to embark on a side quest. However, since I will almost definitely gain tactician points if I actually play the guidance chapter, I turn it down and choose not to go to chapter 7x, giving me 0 tactician points for that chapter for a total of 11 out of a possible 45. In Chapter 8 of FE7, we finally reach Kylan, but are confronted by Lord Lundgren's henchmen, who have brought out the big guns. They have set up a ballista, a siege weapon for which the official strategy recommendation is to send someone with high defense and waste his ammunition by being shot in the face. Lyn dodges a ballista bolt in the cutscene, and we are thrown into a route map for which I will obviously get 1-star tactics. Now that we are closing in on the last 3 maps, it's about time I started killing off my characters in the most efficient way possible. As I have mentioned before, killing off 3 characters per chapter to achieve a 2-star survival rank is the most efficient way to obtain an overall E rank and 0 tactician stars, assuming you get 1 star in every other category. Though in some rare cases where high ranks are mandatory, you can sometimes kill fewer characters or sneak underneath the threshold. However, there are no such chapters remaining in Lyn mode. I decided to kill the most useless characters first. Urk is killed by the ballista, and Will and Lucius are killed by soldiers. For 3 deaths this chapter and bringing me down to a 2-star survival rank. For my experience rank, I make sure to get all the kills with Lyn. For my funds rank, I simply choose to not keep anything I obtain on the map for an easy 0 gold profit, though I do buy some iron swords from the shop. Finally, for my combat rank, this map has 18 enemies, including reinforcements, meaning that I must have at least 126 combats to satisfy my sub 15% win rate requirement. Fortunately, this map has a fort which is a source of infinite healing, so I send Wrath over there to take hits. I finish routing the enemies and complete the map with a 1-star tactics, 2-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star XP, and 1-star combat for a total of 85 points for my first overall E rank, which awards me 0 tactician points, leaving me at the same total of 11 out of a possible 50. Slaughtering a third of my forces has never felt so good. As the map closes, we hear from Matthew that we will not have a friendly welcome in Kylan. This is because Lord Lundgren has declared Lyn to be an imposter. In Chapter 9 of FE7, everyone has been branded as traitors, so we petition Eliot for help. He has Kylan's neighbors promise to remain neutral in this dispute, with himself included, which is fine because he would be completely useless anyway. We move and go through General Eagler's territory, where suddenly we meet Wallace, a retired general who decides to join our cause. This is a fog of war map with a siege condition. The fog of war aspect is easy to get around if you know the map, and the siege condition allows for an easy low tactics rank. Wallace arrives with a night crest, and I use it immediately, promoting him into a general and granting him enough defense to literally be invincible against most of the enemies. I throw away his weapons so as not to get unnecessary kills. I have Matthew, Wrath, and Nils die to tank my survival rank to 2 stars in a similar strategy to the previous chapter to sneak underneath the point threshold for 0 tactician points. If I wanted to access additional Gaiden chapters in the main game, I would need to have Nils survive and also get to level 7. However, I will intentionally avoid as many Gaiden chapters as possible because they are liable to give me tactician points, which is why I just have Nils killed. My experience rank is easy to meet as the only XP I gain is from my characters taking hits, and my funds rank is also easy to achieve as I simply throw away every single item that I get. Since there's only 1 chapter left after this, there's not much reason to save anything that I don't need. I have Florina fly Lyn over to the right along the bottom side to kill Eagler and his 2 cronies for 3 kills, and I have more than enough battles on Wallace and the rest to offset that for my combat rank. I move to Seas, completing the map with a 1-star tactics, 2-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star XP, and 1-star combat for a total of 85 points for the lowest possible overall rank of E, giving me 0 tactician points, so my total remains at 11. This time out of a possible 55. As the map closes, Lundgren directly reveals his treachery to his brother Halsin by boasting loudly about how evil he is. Chapter 10 of FE7 is the final map of Lyn's story, where we have our final confrontation with Lord Lundgren. This map is pretty light on story, but do you know what isn't light? The amount of goddamn rain. Every couple of turns, we have stupid fucking weather effects turning off and on, which does little to hinder your gameplay, except by dealing 20 points of psychic damage directly to your real-life brain every turn for having to deal with this asinine garbage map mechanic. This map is a siege map, so the tactics rank will be an easy 1-star. I intentionally get Sarah killed and send Florina down the center with Lyn, where she is shot down by an archer. I have Lyn go to the village for its energy ring, and I use it to grant her some additional strength. I have Wallace tank 100 or so hits, more than enough to account for the 16 enemies on the map, and I send him to Lundgren to die. These 3 deaths of all my remaining characters will reduce my survival rank to 2. For my funds rank, I waste all of my money in the shop buying items and throwing them away to bring my funds down to 0 gold, and I also toss every remaining item I have to reduce my net worth to 0, leaving only the Manikati, which cannot be discarded. My experience rank will easily sneak underneath the threshold, and Wallace accounted for my combat rank. I defeat Lyn's racist granduncle with a plot-irrelevant Holy Sword of Sakai, and complete the map with a 1-star tactics, 2-star survival, 1-star funds, 1-star XP, and 1-star combat for a total of 85 points for an overall E rank, giving me 0 tactician points for this final map. My final total of tactician points remains at 11 out of a total possible 60, though whether or not this is actually the case will remain to be seen. In the closing cutscenes, Lyn reunites with her grandfather and ends her role in the game as an active participant, From now on, she'll just be someone who talks but has no plot relevance. The character endings play and details how everyone who joined up in the past 10 or so chapters were all grievously injured for their trouble. Hilariously, the number of battles that Lyn participated in actually overflowed past 999, displaying some other number. Strange. The Tactician leaves, having done all that was possible by taking the longest amount of time to kill every character in an excruciating number of combats but a minimum amount of actual fighting, while wasting all the funds he could get his hands on. He leaves on his quest to become a master tactician whose inscrutable strategies will confound future historians for generations. And there are some that say that he even started a YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. I checked my battle history after completing Lyn mode, and I gained verification that all of the math I've done over the entirety of this route was in fact correct and did work. I completed Lyn mode with a 1 star in every category with an overall E rank, with a grand total of 11 Tactician points. Incidentally, you need 12 Tactician points to grant your first Tactician star, which grants stat bonuses. So with my excellent planning and strategic acumen, I have managed to gain no such bonus. This is the mid-season finale for FE7 minimum ranks, as I have managed to complete Lyn Hard Mode while maintaining the lowest possible in-game ranking statistics so far. I'll take a short break to work on other projects before I continue with Hector Hard Mode, as it'll be a lot more difficult and require much more planning. If you like this series and would like to see more like it, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks, and see you all in the next one.